I'm live.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm live. But you did good though. Okay. Well, we can go now though. You want to do a quick commercial?
Hey, Coach.
We need to get you to know, getting you to know how to edit.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank everybody for coming. My name is Dante. Come on out. Thank y'all for coming. We started a little bit behind, but I promise you we're gonna get you out here on time. Thank you for coming to this meeting. What is this meeting? This is a community meeting that we have once a month, every Sunday. It has two parts. It's a staff meeting, but at the same time, it is inclusive of the community. I believe that what we do when it comes to self-care as a barbershop, as a part of this community, what we do in mental health, our partners are the individuals that we serve. So we want them to be inclusive on this journey. We want everyone to be a part of this and how we can help individuals. It takes everybody's perspectives and ideas to make it happen. We meet the community where they are. And so we want to make sure that we're doing good work in the community. But how do you know that if you don't ask the community, right? So we're going to talk some business, but also talk about some ideas and different ways that we can improve the things that we're doing. So welcome to all my partners that are here. We may be having some people come in a little bit later, but that's okay. They can come and join. We have food in the back. We also have a massage therapist that is doing massage therapy. We do believe in self-care. So get yourself a chair massage before you leave here. She's great. Okay. All right. Staff introductions. I want to introduce Kia. She's our stylist. A little bit more energy, please.
Hi, good.
Everybody here is family, right? Victoria, she's our clinician. Cliff, he's our clinical director. All right. We have Coach Tim, outreach coordinator. Joe, our outreach coordinator. Bianca, our consultant, and she wears a lot of hats. You want to get to know her just a little bit more as well. And we have our speaker here as well, which we'll get to her as well and have her share some things with you all. Also, Mr. Lewis, also a consultant that works with us. All right. Updates. Our monthly meetings is once a month, every last Sunday, 6 o'clock to 7:30. We have a blood drive, July the 6th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The blood drive is one of our community initiatives that we're working with Life South. They're doing a blood drive, which is very important when it comes to blood disorders such as sickle cell. We know that there's a connection with having the same blood type, right? Which is very important for our community, especially when it comes to sickle cell. It affects about 100,000 individuals in this country. 90% of those are brown people, black and brown, right? So be a part of this on the blood drive if you can be. Let me know the address. You'll be getting that information as well. All right. We're also starting our men's group on next Sunday. Next Sunday, July 7th. You want to talk about that a little bit, Joe?
Good evening, everybody. Again, I'm Joe, outreach coordinator. I'm also a barber here at Cuts and Kicks. Next Sunday will be our first men's group meeting. not just the first one, we'll be starting to do it annually, once a month, maybe, right?
Yeah.
It'll be once a month. With the men's group, we'll be inviting all the men out, bring signs or whatever, just to communicate with each other. You know, sometimes we don't have nobody to talk to. We don't want to talk to them, but we'll talk to him, the Bob, or, you know, just something we can come together and communicate and, you know, fellowship with each other and do what we're doing here today. So next Sunday is
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, same time like we did today. What's the date?
The 7th.
The 7th. The 7th. And we'll have another update that day for the next meeting. It's gonna be a good thing. It's gonna be a big thing. Everything we do here is big. You know, we're doing it for us and for everybody else that's not here. You know, we love our melanated people here and everybody else too, but, you know, we gotta stay on top. And that's all I got for right now.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, absolutely. Just an opportunity for us as men to learn how to communicate. That's something that is important, something that even myself personally, is learning how to communicate effectively when it comes to our relationship, when it comes to our responsibilities. So we open that up to all men. It's a free service that we're getting going on Sundays, and just have that time to fellowship as well. Thank you, Joe. All right, also mental health aid training. There's a deadline July 1st. Joe is signed up for that. I have signed up for that. Tim, get you to sign up for that. It's free. There's a link there. If you can put that, I'm trying to try to put that link in there for you. It's free. It's 8 hours. And the classes are filling up fast. We believe in training and competency here. So everyone here has a level of training, especially as outreach coordinators. When we have any other dates or things that's going on with this, you guys know if you want to be a part of that. Okay. All right, and Bianca is going to share with us some information. Bianca, as I said earlier, she is our consultant. She is a premier healthcare consultant. She deals with denial claims, management, and training, and credentialing. She wears many hats. Her motto is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And she's a UGA alumni, 15 years experience, and she will be speaking briefly about some of the opportunities we have going on here.
Hello.
Hello.
So he put down grant opportunity, but it's not an actual grant. Dante and I, Randall will be going after a contract in the city of Lawrenceville that's a behavioral health. And I see that we have another organization here to, so you may be interested, but it's a recast grant that's been granted to the city of Lawrenceville. They've had it for 5 years. It's a $5 million grant. First Family has a contract right now, but that contract is up for bid in the city of Lawrenceville. The services that they're needing, minority people, we know that Black, Brown are huge in Lawrenceville area. Randall has a specific, I would say, gift or something that's needed, but men. So that's something that we're going to really stand on top of, offering those services to young men, young people, something they can identify with. That opportunity is going to be due on the 17th. They're needing vans, they're needing transportation, all types of things. So if you're interested, you definitely can reach out to me and let me know. I'm in the process of writing up this contract, this bid, to walk it down to GJAC on the 17th. All right, that's it.
All right, next, Louis Ponzo. As I introduced earlier, he works with us, does a lot of consulting with us. He's a motivator, he's an encourager, he's also a speaker. He's a hope dealer. I'll let him explain that, what that means. He also wears many hats. He's going to talk about some of the multiple opportunities that we're working on currently.
Hello everybody, I'm gonna pass around this sign-in sheet real quick so we can get your email. We couldn't get a little bit of technical assistance with some new material, some new devices, so we weren't able to get that up, but I assure you that we'll get it out to you via email. Again, I'm Louis Ponzo, I am a motivator, encourager, speaker. I just did men's mental health at the Black, over there on Stonecrest, you know, the new Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
I was over there last week. It's a big time mental health thing. They did the body first, and I believe in the mind. You know, I have my master's in clinical mental health counseling. Also have an MBA. I was an executive over a counseling agency who took all of the insurance, including Medicaid. You know, I have a lot of resources out there in the community, and Dante was one of the resources that we used to work with back in the day for a myriad of different years as one of our substance abuse counselors. I'm sorry, but so one of the initiatives that Dante and I are trying to push forth, right, is something that's more like for us, you know, for us by us, you know, as Damon John, but we also, you know, work with our allies as well, but something initiative that is for us by us. You know, we want these different counseling techniques and strategies that we're trying to push to the community, right? But we're going to call it cuts, kicks, and conversations. What y'all think about that?
Yeah.
Nice.
Cuts, kicks, and conversations, right? So when I'm gonna say something, right, I want you to, I guarantee you, the majority of the people in here are gonna be able to repeat it back to me, right? Health is what?
Well,
Ooh, health is what?
Well.
That's what I'm talking about. So those are the kind of initiatives we're gonna be pushing out to the community, you know, objectives and initiatives that are gonna be for us, by us, right? In order to do so, we have to be at the forefront of this, you know, so cuts, kicks, and conversations, right, is gonna serve as that community pillar, right? So we did have a PowerPoint show that I had put together, but a couple of technical difficulties, but I assure you, once you guys get it and sign up, you know, it'll be to your email, you know, by this evening. But again, it's very, very creative, you know, we're gonna use this concept, you know, who likes to look good and feel good? I think everybody, you know, so we're gonna pull in estheticians, massage therapists, counselors, you know, all of them are gonna be for us and by us. And I believe that we're able to do this right. We're gonna go into those marginalized communities, right? We're gonna be able to walk in there with our J's, with our Adidas, or whatever it is. We're gonna walk in there looking good and feeling good, right? And also being able to uplift this community. You know, when I look at the data and statistics, you know, that's out there in just in Lawrenceville alone, you know, our people are dying, guys. Our people are dying, you know, by the numbers, right? And a lot of it, you know, is because of some of the data and statistics, some of the things that have happened to us years and years ago, right? But we got to push through that. And the only way we'll be able to push through that, if people who are going to counsel us going to look like us, the people who are going to touch us and feel us going to look like us, you know? And I believe strongly that as we continue to put on products and initiatives and meet monthly for men's group, women's group, whatever group that there is, you know, we have to create visibility, you know, so that is one of my main objectives, to help to create visibility for cuts, kicks, and conversations, and any other thing that Dante, you know, wants me to be a part of. So I thank you for your time. I'll be here throughout the duration. If you were here, I'll try to put it up on my laptop computer here so you guys can see it. You know, we can have sidebars and stuff like that, but definitely thank you for your time. God bless.
All right, next is, you got a handout here, it says commercial sexual exploitation of children. We have partnered with Devereaux and started to do some work with them. We've been doing some work with them now for a few months now. When we first started this and we had our first meeting, we discussed some different topics as it pertains to social disparities. And we promised that we would get out there and start to be action focused, right? And so we started working with Devereaux, which is a commercial sexual exploitation program that works with children that have gone through sex trafficking. Very deep situation. Our stylist that's been working with them is a great strength to us, has been out. She's even missed meetings because she was out there working at that facility. And I just wanted her just to kind of share with you guys some of her experience. She doesn't mind. Just a little bit of your experience, what that's been like for you.
It's been, it's been real interesting. I've never really worked with girls like this before, but like for me, it's rewarding.
Well, you know, one of the things is they love kids, as you can tell, she has a pretty smile. Very relaxing, and with the children, they look forward to it. I've learned a lot of working with them. It's something that either you have it or you don't, right? Gil came into this blindly, not knowing how it's going to be, and really has really excelled. They've been happy with our service. What we do there with the children is we do their hair. They go in and do their hair, but it's an education-focused service, right? So it's not just doing their hair, what kind of hairstyle do you want, but teaching them how to engage in their natural hairstyles, right? How to take care of their scalp. Here is a licensed cosmetologist for like what, 20, 30, 20. But she's been doing this for a while, and she knows what she's doing. And when she first started, when she came in, I worked in these environments, so I kind of know what. Try to give a heads up. And she goes in there. Of course, all of the staff, they're already doing the girls' hair. They try to tell her what to do, right? And she just calmly, just like, okay, she's listening, she's doing the work. By the time she gets done, they're like, oh, you are the truth. You are the truth. And I know that, so I had every confidence in the world that she can handle it. And it's a very intense environment. Those children's been through a lot. You know, all of us came, you can get your foot in, but all the barbers came when we went to the facility, and the stories that you hear with the children is devastating, right? And they get a chance, as we are role models to those children, because the adults that they came from, what they're used to, is night and day. And so, not taking that, too lightly, and being able to actually still do the work. This is why the training comes into place, because doing the hair in that environment and actually understanding how to work with this population are two different things, right? So when we talk about boundaries, we talk about what can we say, how do we set those boundaries, what are we teaching the children? They're watching everything. One thing we learned here is that they were taking the hair and reusing the hair and passing it to the other kids that come in to the facility. Right? It's a facility you can't give screens to, because things will happen. So it's a very specific kind of environment. And I just wanted to thank you for being a part of that.
They do that in jail. When you go in, somebody got some hair, girl, let me get that hair.
Yeah.
I give you a tray.
It is almost like real similar.
It's called bartering.
All right, next, just an update on the Father's Day event. We had a Father's Day event in June. Father's Day. It was great. And Tim is here. He's an outreach coordinator. Tim, 20, 30 years working in the community. He's an excellent football head coach. He's done a lot of things. I'll let him fill you in on those things. Tim.
Yeah, thank you. Like you say, I'm Coach Tim. I've been coaching football, basketball, almost 20, 30 years. On that Father's Day, the event, we cooked out, we gave away plates for all the fathers. Not just fathers, anybody who wanted to come up and needed a meal. But it was a joy occasion. We got a chance to meet the neighbors on both sides and interact with them. Just to show our appreciation to them being our neighbors, as well as feeding the father. We definitely want to give back. And it's not always about money, but it's about showing people we care, we love you, we appreciate you, no matter what color you are. As a father, not just a father, the family brings so much to the table that we need to capitalize on. And I'm grateful for Dante and Joe and everybody that was involved to show the love that we love the community. So I was grateful, I was excited. I can't wait till we do it again. We had Radio Plug, a lady friend that I went to high school with. She plugged us in on the radio station. We're looking for more people to be involved in what we got going on, because what we're doing is something great. And I'm excited, and I want everybody else to be excited on what we have to offer to the community. So without further ado.
All right, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. I want to remind everybody again, you that just came in, we have a massage therapist. They give you free massages. They're also food. So, without further ado, our speaker, Ms. Karen.
Hey, I think this is your pen.
I've worked alongside Ms. Karen during the 13th District Congressional Campaign. It was a great experience. I learned a lot. During this time, I realized that she's a powerful person and force in the community, and one that we all can learn from. I fell in love with her hands-on approach and in the community and her love for the community. She brings a plethora of experience to this space. She worked as a small business administration attorney, also third-term city council member of East Point as well. All right, and I'm just really grateful that she's here today to speak to us about some of the things going on in the community.
Let me say something before you come up.
All right.
And the reason why me and Dusty got into it, my father, he's a bishop, he has 200 plus churches up under him. And it was told to me to get with her and help in any way I can. Not knowing what I was getting myself into. I was getting myself into a lady who stand by her word, energetic, more energetic than me. I'm 43 years old, not telling her age, but she's a little bit older. When I mean it's inspiring to see a woman, not just a woman, a black woman, running for the people, and how enthused she is, motivated me. And I've been coaching 20 plus years, and that brings inspiration to me to know she works that hard. I mean, from 8 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, on the go, full blast. I'm like, wow. I hope one day I can be able to be energetic and enthused about my cause and her purpose. So I'm very excited. Me and Coach Dante, we talk all the time. Like, we was so grateful that she allowed us to come inside and be helpful. So I brag on her all the time, and I hope you guys have the same experience that I do as far as the great woman that she is and the story she had and what she brings and what she offers. Because she's not your everyday politician. I just got into politics maybe a year ago. And from seeing what the old politicians do to what she has, it's night and day. So I definitely want to set the scene up for you guys to understand what type of woman is coming before us.
And I just want to say one. I got in politics yesterday. So, let me tell you something.
I'm on the way.
I wasn't really with it, y'all. I'm telling you. For me, my experience was I just needed to know somebody.
Yeah.
I just need to look somebody in the eyes and then see them actually doing what they say they're gonna do.
That's right.
And then I met some people out there on that trail running for other offices that, Lord, they don't need to be running.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if ain't nobody running against them, they might get it. Like, it was scary, like, to see some of the people who's actually out here running for things. And you meet them, you're like, you running?
Yes.
What district? And you realize, you live in the district that they running for.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sheriffs.
Wow.
And I know it seems like common sense, but it's not. I think it's all about the experience, y'all. And that's one of the things that we create here. We created an experience. Virtual is good and everything, but I'm old school. We gotta be hands-on.
Yeah.
And when you see it and you have an experience, a real life experience, it hits home a lot deeper, right? I just wanted to share that. But
Come on. Karen Rene, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Karen Rene, and I'm gonna say we're gonna have a conversation. I'm from the deep south, Selma, Alabama, born and raised on a farm.
okay.
To tell you how country we really are, my family's on about 200 acres for almost 50 years. My dad still lives on the land. I bought my mother up about 4 or 5 years ago. She had hip surgery on the same hip about 3 times. And so after she's here recovering rehab, she won't be back. So she's been kind of hanging out watching YouTube a lot with me. But growing up, and I'm gonna be kind of brief with this. I remember one of the best things that I didn't like at the time, but it was so beneficial to us, that we used to have dinner. All of us, the 6 of us, it's 3 girls and 3 boys, and I'm a twin. And my dad would make us all sit down at 5 o'clock, 5:30. Dinner would be on the table, and we had to eat everything that was cooked, right? And so, and he would talk about what was your day. like at school and playing sports or whatever that would be. And we always had, like, I had a brother, his name was Melvin, and he would always get in trouble. And but we learned early on to cover for him and not tell him. And so we had to skirt around the issues. And a lot of times my daddy knew that we were lying for him or covering up for him or whatever. But what happens is it grew us together, you know, and it was about family time, and we valued that. It wasn't that we could go to McDonald's or anything like that. McDonald's back in them days were a really treat. Like you got it maybe once a month or something like that. But anyway, so that's how I grew up. And then I went on to Alabama State. I got an undergraduate degree in political science, and I got a law degree. And I stayed here. So how I got in politics, Miss Bianca asked me that. Gloria asked me that when I got here. How did I get in politics? I worked at Job Corps Youth. Well, let me back up. I graduated from law school. I got a great job with Small Business Administration Disaster Unit, and they would send me out all over the state of Georgia, flood victims and all that kind of stuff, helping them. I loved it. I thought that was absolutely great. So then I went into business for myself. You know, I wanted to do some business. I quit that and went into business with me and my husband. I'm divorced now. And then I left it. I went to the solicitor's office. I worked at the Solicitor General's office, putting people in jail and writing up indictments and stuff like that, and I hated it. I literally hated it. I remember playing people out. I remember fighting. I'm on the indictment side, and I remember fighting for people that were on the other side. It was just really weird because I hated sending people to jail. It was just something in my soul. So anyway, so after that, got a divorce, and I wanted to get back. And I would drive by Westlake, and I saw Job Corps, and I thought, oh, that's a really good place to get back. God, I want to work there. And so a girlfriend of mine, I had talked to her in years, out of the blue, called me and said she was working at Job Corps. I said, girl, I want to do that. I want to volunteer. I want to get back. And so she's like, they hiring. You need to come on down. So on my way down to fill out this application, I know they do it online now. But anyway, so on my way down, I was going to fill out this application, take my resume, and kind of try to see if I can do an impromptu interview. She calls me up and she says, they don't like me no more, don't use me as a reference. I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, so I get there, and I started talking to the gatekeeper, and he was like head of security, and he likes me, and he says, use me as a reference. And so I used him as a reference, and I got hired. And I was only gonna stay there like 30 or 60 days, because they don't just let you just walk in and do volunteerism. You kind of have to be employed. So I was just only gonna stay a little while, and I ended up staying 14 years. I fell in love with young people. And I think one of the reasons why I'm not there now is because they closed the doors for the Atlanta Job Corps Center October 2017. And I was one of the last 3 people to walk out. It was director, deputy director, and me. And one of my jobs was working with congressional members and U.S. senators. And in fact, I worked very closely with Johnny Ickerson. I don't know if you guys know him, but Johnny Ickerson was one of my champions. And he did a lot of work for the young black kids at the Job Corps program. He really loved education and wanted to see them. I remember when, a real quick side story, some of our kids, they nutted up, got in a little trouble, and the media picked it up. And it was during our contract year. And so what happened was, his office called and said, Johnny wants a report on what's going on and why these kids are acting the way they're acting, right? And that told me he cares, because what happened was, he was over the appropriation. He determined whether or not who has the funding for the Job Corps programs. And that was real critical for us. But he wanted to make sure he shared with his colleagues, just because we got 1 or 2 bad apples don't mean that we need to shut down this program. We need to keep pushing it and making sure. But he needed to hear from us to make sure that we were giving him the right information to share with his colleagues. So these are some of the kind of things that we work with Hank Johnson, Congressman John Lewis. They're very critical. Now, how I get into politics? I got into politics because I was hanging out in John Lewis' office one evening, just really just sitting around. It was after hours, and we were just sitting around chewing the fat. And I like to talk a lot of trash. And a lot of people didn't know this about John, but he liked to talk a little trash too. He didn't say a whole bunch, but he liked to listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, and I love to cuss. So, I would be cussing just to be cussing and just be having a good time. And he looked at me, he says, why don't you run for office over city council? Because what happened at the time, they were really fighting each other. Nothing was really getting done. And I think East Point at that point might have been like 97% black. And he wanted a lot of growth, and he wanted our people to be taken care of. He really cared about our communities, and that was in his district. And I thought about it, and I ran, and I won. And so I've been in office now. I stepped down in March 2024 to run for Congress. After Job Corps closed, the NAACP saw me, and they said, would you like to come work for us as our program director? And you know how you like out of a job and you're worried? Because I ain't never been out of a job, and I've always had money coming in. And now Job Corps is closed, and I was helping all the other staff members because I really felt bad for them, trying to get them on new employments because we're closing our doors. And here it is, the Atlanta Job Corps Center called me up and they said, if you will come work for us, it'll be great. We love your work in the community. And I did. We started getting out the vote, helping people. We helped U.S. Senator John Ossoff, Warnock, all of them get back in office. We did a really grassroots organizing team, working with other grassroots organizations all across the state of Georgia, helping people get registered to vote and getting them to the polls. So I am really entrenched in this. My dad was on the bridge when John Lewis and were on the bridge, and he was up front. And my mother, I come from a large family where my mother had 26 brothers and sisters. My dad had 8. And so a lot of them were activism. They were on the bridge or running. And this is the funniest thing, because I do love to laugh. My father is 5'5" and my mother is 6 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
And so now, and I've never seen them walk side by side, but my daddy loved to dance, and I can't dance. But anyway, but he would dance with her, like, you know, like a little family reunions and public little outings and stuff like that. But the deal was he would tell us stories, like in the 5 o'clock dinner, what it was like in Alabama and Selma growing up, and what it felt like to him as a black man. And it was really tough. He faced a lot of racism, and he really believed in people getting out to vote. He really valued that. I'll never forget how they would rush home and change clothes. My daddy worked in a factory, but he also owned his own land and also did his own business. And so I remember them rushing home to go to the polls to vote, and they would make sure that we were in our school clothes, our clothing, you know, like back in the day, they didn't like kids going out looking nasty. Mm-hmm. And so it was a big deal for them to go out and vote. So they would pack us up all in the car, and we would go vote with them to see them vote. And that's just how important it was for them. And we would ask them questions like, what does that mean? And I'll never forget, and this stuck with me for years, he said, every dollar in your pocket is tied to a vote. Every dollar in your pocket is tied to a vote. And so when young people talk to me about, like, what does that mean to get out the vote? Like, what are you interested in? Like, you want better parks, you want recs, you want to smoke marijuana. Like, when you go buy that marijuana, that dollar in your pocket helps you buy that marijuana, but it also regulates that vote to even help you get the marijuana. Whether you're gonna be a free citizen once you buy it, or are you going to jail when you get caught. Every dollar in your pocket is tied to a vote. Your driver's license, everything you do, school, parks, roads, everything you do, supermarkets, your clothes you buy is tied to a vote. Whether or not they come in from China, how they get here and all that. Every car you drive, everything you could possibly think about, even the lipstick that we have on is tied to a vote. And so I don't think young people realize how important it is. And so at Job Corps, I used to talk to them about slavery a lot, and how slavery still exists, but it's in a different form, but yet it still exists. And so they used to try to figure out, like, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. In Black people communities, there's very few sit-down restaurants, right? You think that's by design? I think it is, because we can afford to go to sit-down restaurants, because guess what? Every Red Lobster is packed with Black folks, right? So where do they put them? You know, those kind of things, like where are the nicer restaurants? Papa Do's. Black people pack those restaurants out, so you know that they could be in our districts and not have a problem. So remember how Master used to feed the slaves, right? How did he feed the slaves? He gave them the worst part of the food, the worst part, and they kept the best parts. So what happens is when you go through our communities, what do you see? McDonald's, church chickens, and those kind of stuff. Foods that are really not good for us, that creates what? High blood pressure, diabetes, and all of those things, fast foods, right? Processed foods that are really not good for our community. It's the same thing. So what happens is, Master lives in a big house on the hill, and he gave us the worst part of the house, right? We live in shacks, whatever we could build or however we could build down the street for him. That's how it happens. So what happens now is, how does slavery impacts us now? We affordable housing. Where do we live? A lot of us live where we can truly afford it. And a lot of times they price us out so that guess what? We cannot move in their certain neighborhoods. It's a part of slavery, and those things are set up so that we can't enjoy those communities that they have. And we have to really, a lot of times, fight our way into that. I'll never forget when working with the NAACP, I would get a lot of calls from Alpharetta, Buckhead, and all that kind of stuff. HOAs will try to force people out by finding them on a daily basis, so that guess what? That if I find you big enough and hard enough and fast enough, I'll put liens against your property and I'll push you out. So HOAs became one of those tools that they use, even if you were able to buy into the community, how they could also push you out of the communities. So little systemic things like that. And it seems like people, us, are always fighting oppression. It is a part of slavery. So if I can keep you busy fighting on your job to keep your job, right? If I could keep you trying to make bail or get out of jail, to do those things, if I can keep your health bad, if I can keep the person in your house either on laid off on your job or trying to find a job, and now you got chaos in the house. Because you're always fighting. Like, what did Trump say the other day? I thought that was so interesting, and I'm thinking, oh my God, please don't fall for it. He said, he said black jobs. He talked about the black jobs. I'm thinking, what black jobs you talking about? What black jobs? If we really think about what black jobs you talking about, because it ain't like a lot of us are running the Fortune 500 companies, and it's so hard for us to break the glass ceilings. And when we do, it's only a few of us on there, are there at the table. We have to be more educated, more dedicated, and more productive than any of our counterparts, right? So what black jobs is he talking about? So the deal is, we have to be very mindful. And what happens is, the reason why they say it's the same thing they did in slavery. What they did was they told the poor black white people that the slave people were taking your jobs. And so guess who's fighting?
Now they tell the Mexican, the Mexican taking.
That's exactly right. And if they keep us fighting against ourselves, it's the same setup. So now when he say black jobs, what are you talking about? Who we fighting against? Right. Thinking about that. So what happens is, it's a part of that slavery mentality, so that we don't focus on what the real true issues are. Right. While the wealthy continues to get wealthy, and we fight among ourselves for the crumbs. Exactly. So it's all about that. And what happens is, so why is it important for us to vote? And I know that we're not happy with everything. We're not. We truly are just not happy. People talk about Biden's age and how slow he talks or whatever. But he's done a great job trying to make sure things are fair and balanced. So what do? I get you. I understand that. I just said we ain't happy with everything. I know, but we're not happy with everything.
Not sold on.
No, I understand that. But I'm definitely not sold on Trump. So I'm gonna speak my truth. Okay. Because I just said we're not happy with everything. Right. And it's unfortunate that the choices that we have, we have to make a true decision.
Because you don't vote for Biden to vote for Trump.
Absolutely. Because what happens is, what did Trump say? If I get in, I'm gonna be a dictator, and I'm gonna change that constitution, and I'm gonna make sure I stay here forever. And whatever happens to you is not my problem, because it's all about what I'm gonna do for me and my rich friends. And people forget that a lot of his cabinet members, and I wanna believe over 20 of his cabinet members went to prison. So the corruption is real. And a lot of us and I talk to my nieces and nephews, oh my God. When Trump was in office, a lot of money was flowing. I tell you, you don't understand. I got the papers, I got the dollars, and they made it happen. I said it was COVID dollars, and it wasn't about that. He can't do anything that that wasn't regulated at the time. What happened was, he was trying to generate a lot more money so that we could spend, because we were out of jobs. A lot of people were shut down. Absolutely. So I said, you think you get back in now, he's going to do the same for you? The realities of life, COVID. But a lot of black people died during COVID. A lot of black people died. I don't think anybody in this room was not impacted about somebody dying in COVID. I lost 5 family members. and it was really rough. It was a really rough time. A lot of black businesses went under COVID. A lot of my sisters who got BBLs, got that COVID money. Got them BBLs. Got them BBLs, and now they got
Now they want
paperwork.
them out.
So, and you can tell I didn't get the COVID money because I couldn't get my BBL. Anyway, so anyway, so what happens is voting is real, and unfortunately, this is what I see. As I served as city council member for a lot of years, I gave up my personal cell number because then you get a city cell and you get the personal cell. And my job was, and this is what I really wanted to do. I wanted to make a difference. I lived in a black folks community. I lived in a mixed community, but I served black folks, right? And some of my worst districts were poor black people who had been in their community for 30 and 40 years. And what happened was, my heart was, God, if you give me this seat, I will make a difference. So often people get in these elected positions and their communities remain the same. And I didn't want that to happen. And I would hear people in the community talk about, like, elected officials, you never see them until they want your vote. But people didn't understand. When I got elected, I had 26 meetings to go to. I still had a full-time job, and then I had 3 city council meetings on top of that. So if you didn't really invite me out to your community or whatever, a lot of times, and I still got a family that I had to deal with. So a lot of times people didn't understand that, it's a lot goes into being elected. However, once you elect them, you still have to pick up the phone and call them. You need to call them and say, hey, I see this on the agenda. How is this gonna impact me? Sometimes what we do is we elect them and we leave them. And guess what? A lot of them don't care. That's the honest God truth. A lot of them don't care. A lot of them got egos. A lot of them like, I got this title now, and all I need to do is just show up at the city council meeting and not care about my community. I'll never forget, after I got elected, we walked those communities and we cleaned up the blights. We logged down like houses that were boarded up. And I had the largest boarded up district in the city. And guess what? We turned those communities around. 20,000, you could buy a house less than $20,000, lots for $5,000. And now you can't go in, and they bought property now about 2 years ago for $750,000. You can't buy a property in that district now for less than $250,000 because the work was done. So I still got people calling me, older people, senior citizens who have concerns in the district, even though I've stepped down in March, needing services and needing help, and I'll still answer my phone. So voting is really important, but putting the right people in office is critical. It's critical for our survival. So I'm gonna yield. I know my brother had some questions. I know you take a phone call, but you have to ask the questions. I'm here to listen as well. Now that you know a little bit about me, if I'll come back, I won't tell you that whole story again. I'll just listen and answer your questions. Go ahead, Joe, anybody, Bianca, Gloria,
I have a question.
Tim.
Yesterday, it was the Poor People Campaign in Washington by Dr. William Barber.
Yeah.
You might not be able to answer, but you might be able to give your opinion on it. Why do more politicians don't speak about the poor issues in America?
But you're telling that's a good question, and you're spot on with that. Because what happens is, as an elected official, I talk about affordable housing. Right now, a 1-bedroom apartment in the city of Atlanta or the metropolitan Atlanta is over $1,250 a unit, right? 1 bedroom, and it's more than that. I'm just talking about the average, though, right? The average. But you're absolutely right. It's way more than that. And what happens is that means you got to be making at least $39,000 to $40,000 on your job to do a 1-bedroom. If you're a single mom, that means if you got kids, you know that you got to be making more than $40,000. Now, a chick that's working at Dollar General, KFC, who's on their own just trying to make it, won't happen. Even if you're a graduate of college, a lot of times those jobs don't start you off at $40,000. They're right at $35,000 or whatever. Your first entry-level job going out of college, right? How you make it. So affordable housing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be on Section 8 or a special program. It means that, listen to me, working class people who we call essentials during COVID, right? Now we're like, we don't care. So you're right. What happens is, I don't think elected officials do enough. thank God the Biden administration is addressing some of those issues right now to start regulating some of these prices, because I know even in my district, what happens is a lot of corporate offices came in and they bought a lot of housing. They bought a whole like blocks of housing. And guess what they're doing? It's turning into renters. Guess what? Renters really don't care about your properties. They'll drop paper down or whatever and stuff like that. We want people to invest. You know, the biggest wealth maker for black communities is what? Their home. That's our retirement. That's our 401k plan. It's not just a lottery. I know a lot of us do believe that, right? Anyway, so but it's our housing. So you're right, addressing poor people issues is critical. When I talk to senior citizens, they talk about how much food stamps they get. Do you guys realize how much food stamps a senior citizen gets? $10. Less than $45 a month.
Yeah.
I think the highest person I talked to, they may have got like $70 a month of food stamps. Now I know y'all in this wealthy county at Gwinnett, I ain't got to worry about it. But I'm talking about like when I talk to seniors who are on Social Security, and that's all they get for a month, and then they still have to pay subsidized rent. They still have to pay for their cell phone. They still have to pay for their burial insurance. And if they have a car note insurance, and a lot of them are getting less than $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
This is just the truth, because a lot of them have worked all of their lives in factories or at these substandard jobs, and they get the bare minimum. But a lot of us don't even realize that. And then when don't go to the doctor, you gotta pay that co-payment, or you gotta buy your medicine, because this medicine still costs, even if it's just $5 or $20.
Not to mention, depending on what health insurance you have, okay, it's like going to Walters for a pair of gym shoes as opposed to going to Foot Locker, is how you're looked at when you come into the hospital with just Medicaid or Medicare. You know, I mean, really,
That's the truth.
they treat you the same way.
I don't know. I used to think that they treat you a little bit better if you come in like with you know, like looking a little decent or something like that. But maybe they don't. I don't know.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought so.
I had the major surgery on my leg.
Uh-huh.
It was $54,000. They sent me to a physical therapy place. Me and my wife got in there. We got home. They called us and said, "Oh, we don't take that insurance." But I just had them. Wait a minute. Why? You know.
I work at a hospital and I see it all the time. You know, the disparities with health insurance and Medicaid and Medicare is not enough to sustain people, you know, who have real health issues. Because they treat you the same way. They get you in there and you back at home before you know it, and you still bleeding.
Oh my God, you're so telling the truth. But let me hit home for all of y'all. And this is what I learned while I was on the campaign trail. I was talking to a lady in Gwinnett, and we talked about insurance. She had a similar thing to you. She had broke her leg. She was a school teacher. And hospital bill, she still had to pay her co-payment because she had to have her leg set and all that kind of stuff. And she still had to come out of pocket for that. Now, she had a catastrophe happen to her house. No fault of her own. I think a tree or something fell on it. And she had had the house over 20 years, paid her house insurance every month like I do and everything else, and I'm trying to pay mine off. And so what happens is, guess what? When she filed the insurance claim, they paid it, but then they dropped it. Now, y'all know we feel the same way. What happened is I've never had a claim on my house. My air conditioner went out, I paid out of pocket, right? If the lightning hit, I still paid out of pocket because I was scared to call the insurance company because I didn't want them to drop me. Because what happens is I changed my insurance company this year to get a lower rate because insurance was going out the roof. And they said, have you ever filed a claim? And I was like, no, I don't think, well, thank God for that. And so when the last time you was in a car accident, because, you know, did the bundle to get a discount, right? I hadn't had an accident, hadn't had a ticket in 30 or 40 years, right? And so what happens is when I'm listening to this lady, she said the horror that she had to go through to find a new insurance company to pick her up because that one had dropped her. Then the first thing she had to identify was they asked her, had she ever been dropped? She said yes. So when she finally got to the 10th insurance company, they gave her a rate, but it was so doubled the amount of her home. She said, this is ridiculous. So what I'm telling you is not just the seniors that are getting hit, and the fact is, my mother is giving me great understanding while working with seniors and stuff. When I looked at what she was bringing home, I said, this is ridiculous. How you pay bills with this? And you can. But the fact is, every time they give her a raise on her Social Security, guess what? Her insurance rate. So it's really a raise. And that happens to pretty much all of us on the job. So you see how I'm saying, like how we fight everything? This is really crazy.
Let it out. Let it happen.
It's all
See, I
right.
hope that's right. See, I ain't lie to you. I'm wondering if they gonna lie to you. But anyway, so but it's bothering something. So these people can help regulate some of this stuff because we are all feeling it, and it just don't matter. So it really, just anyway. So that was a really good question. What's our next question? So I'll be able to cuss.
Which
Yeah.
district, which district are you from, or county, or?
All right, so that's a really good question because it's really tricky. Where you going with that? Anyway, just get shit top. Anyway, so District 13, right, is comprised of 6 counties. It's weird how they did it. Oh, it goes like that. So what happened is it goes from Clayton County all the way down from the Panhandle, Clayton County, the Madonna area, and then you got Henry County, was right next door. A small part of Clayton County, all the way down to the lower part, Monroe, Clayton, and a lot of cities in that. Bonanza, I had never heard of Bonanza. I had never heard of Little White House and all that kind of stuff. Y'all ever heard of them places? Yeah. I was looking on the map, I said, good Lord, where is this? But people are so good country. Anyway, so then you go over to Henry County, you got McDonough and all of those. You got Stockbridge, Lake Spivey, Lake Capri, all of those areas. And then you go back up a little bit of the cab with Rex and Ellenwood and that kind of stuff, and hidden land. Anyway, so then you go over to Rockdale, the whole county of Rockdale, and a little part of Covington. We got Newton, and Covington, and then here in Gwinnett. In Gwinnett, you got about 5 cities. So it's really, really weird how it goes all the way down and comes back up to the 6 counties. And I'm out of Fulton County. So it's really good. So let me ask you a question, and this is real critical, because all of my white residents, they knew who my police chief was. Not only did they know who the police chief was, they had the police chief cell phone number.
Wow.
How many of y'all in this room know who your police chief is in this room?
How many of us really want to know?
You do want to know. You do. You want to know. And you know why that's critical? You want to know who your police chief is. Do you know, like, your police chief is appointed by your city council? Right? All these people are tied to y'all. And what happens is, have you ever noticed, like, when something happened, like they done hurt somebody or killed somebody, how the police is all out there by themselves? They're not necessarily tied into the city council or the mayor's office. It's just like the planning and zoning office. You understand what I'm saying? But people like departmentalize them like they got their own. It's like they're in their own island. No, that police chief was appointed. He's a department head. So yeah, you need to know them. Who's your share? Y'all need to. Guess what? These are taxpayers' dollars. He has a city sale, a county sale that you can get. Guess what? And you're entitled to have that number.
Wow.
I was a deep downtown, I just came back from there, but I used to know who was sheriff.
And you gotta know, these are real, I'm telling you, school board members. Oh my God. I used to get so many calls from school boards, right? Like from parents who kids were just kicked out for minor things. And you know young black males, and we need to talk about this, how young black males, when they start looking male-like, how the slightest little thing that they do, they get kicked out of school. The slightest thing. I'll never forget, I got a call out of Cherokee County. A mother was white, daddy was black. They were out in New York, bought a house up there. All of their friends were white kids, and they were only mixed biracial kids in the school system. Little boy, I think he had to be around 10 or 11 years old, coming into his own, feeling like, hey. And he loved this little white girl, right? And he was holding on to her tight. The little white girl didn't want to hold on to her tight, but he didn't know that he thought he was okay, right? So they were taking group pictures. And so what happened was they kicked him out of school. Now they played together, pool parties and all of that, and then all of a sudden he had no friends. Now, he never touched anything on her body. He 11 years old, he liked it. Y'all know how it was when y'all 11, they had to pull on your hair because they like you, and you're like, oh, you like me, just say you like me.
Right.
But they do little stupid stuff or whatever, and the lady never had to explain to them why. So now she got to explain to them what life is really about and why he's been ostracized as a kid. It's really sad. These are some of the things that we've had to deal with. I'll never forget working at the NAACP, young black guy, mother was from Jamaica. He was raised and born here in Alpharetta. Mother did extremely well. And he got a scholarship to Berry College, and y'all know where that is. That's in Rome, Georgia. And so he had a white roommate, and they had a toga party. Y'all, Y'all know what toga parties is? Well, say, I know what toga party is, right? So anyway, anybody don't know what toga party? Toga party is this, like, okay, so Kim help you. Say they were gonna help you. All right, toga party is when you go to, it's a party event, but it's like the Greek. And you tie like a sheet around you or whatever and drape it around you and stuff like that. And some people don't have nothing on it. Some people do have a little baby suit cute or whatever, stuff like that. You go to toga parties, so you may have no time. Don't play. Anyway, so that's where I learned it from. So we go to toga party. So they went to the toga party and everybody got drunk, right? So the white roommate had a little white girlfriend that got in the bed with the brother, the young black man, right? They touched, they spooned in or whatever, that kind of thing. I don't know how bad this is. Anyway, so what happened was, she had remorse the next morning. Now they both drunk or whatever, right? She runs to the campus police. This is a true story. Tells them what happened. Campus police come talk to him, and he's young, 18, 19 years old, and he is, they asked him a question about what happened, and he said, was she drunk? He said, we all were drunk. All of us were drunk. They arrested him. Now, the short story is he's doing 30 years in prison.
Oh, man. Wow.
Never had a speeding ticket. You're talking about a good young man, mother called. Psychologically, he cannot process what's really going on. So she was like, they had to put him in the mental health division first because he couldn't wrap his head around this. Do you understand what kind of society we live in? These are really sad things, but voting matters. So teaching your young sons and your young daughters, let's talk about this really quick. Young black guys, I talk to a lot of them, and they don't understand that if you're not on paper anymore in the state of Georgia, you can vote. Even if you had a felony. What does that mean? That means you're off probation, you paid all your fines. You could vote. You can register, move somewhere, whatever, you can register, you can vote. It's, in the state of Georgia, is automatically done. Once you're off probation, you don't have to write in and beg nobody, nothing else. You just gotta be off of probation. And you have to ask the questions though. You doing community service? Because a lot of them say, no, I ain't on probation. A lot of them say, yeah, I ain't had no felony. And you have to really get like kind of dwell in. A lot of them are shy about it. A lot of them are ashamed about it. But you don't have to be, just trying to figure out how we're gonna work this thing through. And it does work. But we need to educate our young people how important it is. Anybody else got a question?
You need to make sure it's in the system too. Cause see, when I was on probation, I was off probation, but it wasn't in the system. When I voted for Obama, it didn't count. I had to go back to the probation. I was, look, give me that paperwork.
Absolutely.
And then I had to take it back down to City Hall and them there. Okay, now. So it's gonna count the next time.
Gloria, you're absolutely right, because sometimes they don't. They put those dispositions on you, and they leave them out there like that. And you're absolutely right. But you can vote. You don't have to restore anything, just make sure that you're registered. And you can go to sos.ga.gov just to check your registration. And try to vote early. Don't fool with the paper, those mail-in ballots. But if you have a senior, if she can get to the polls or he can get to the polls, get them to the polls early. But if they don't, have them order them, because new rules came into play. They need to order their mail-in ballots now. And when they get the mail-in ballot, fill it out, and then they can take it and drop it off. Do not put it back in the mail, because mail is extremely slow. Go ahead. I know my Amazon package is still angry.
So, going back to the whole political thing,
Oh, okay.
right?
What's your name?
Antonio.
Hey, Antonio.
So the whole Trump thing, right? My question is, right, if Biden gets reelected, for me personally, cool.
Okay.
But if he's not reelected, right, and we have Trump back in office, we got 4 years of this, right? What do we do
Kill him.
in that? No, we can't.
He did not mean that.
Yeah. Edit that one out. Edit that one out, bro. Yeah, edit that part out right there.
That is a valid, he don't know how to edit. I've seen some of this stuff and it's scary. Anyway, so that's a valid question. What do we do? What happens is, okay, so let me tell you what happens. That means that we gotta make sure our congressional members, we got a large Democratic congressional members that controls the House, right, the state of representatives. That means that the U.S. Senators, they need to control the House. What happens is, remember Obama's last term, he was really a lamed up president because he couldn't control anything, right? The reason why he got a lot of things done in the first 4 years is because he had the Congress and he had the US Senate, right?
Right.
And they were able to move a lot of things through. So what happens is you can't tie him up now. What happens is now, Trump came in last time and started writing a lot of executive orders. So you could go around that and start writing a lot of executive orders on certain issues. And a lot of times it's really bad for us. The reason why we're feeling a lot of the reproductive rights now, how they've been rolled back, is because he was able to stack the deck with state Supreme Court, the Supreme Court's justice, right? And a lot of us are paying the price. So people, I never forget, I was working job corps at the time, and one of my bosses out of Utah, a white guy, really nice guy. I really liked him, and I said, I'm really nervous about this. I said, what if he wins? He says, well, there are a lot of protocols that are in place. There are a lot of systems, so he can't do a lot of damage, you know? And look at the damage that he was still feeling the impact of even now. So so that's why it's critical for us to make sure that we're voting. But I'm gonna tell you, I want you guys to start voting in every election. That's why I say your school board members, they are critical. A lot of people don't even know we have elected school board members. You guys got a straight, y'all got, now Gwinnett, okay, let's talk about Gwinnett. Established 1818, right? But you guys are in a critical phase right now. You're established in 1818, that means you got an aging county. Y'all one of the oldest counties out here, right? That means your infrastructure is really aging, but you're growing faster than any other county in the state. So you're slated to outgrow Fulton County. Fulton County is still number one, right? But Gwinnett is a short distance from them. So you guys, in the next 10 years, probably the next 3 or 4 years, you're gonna outgrow Fulton County. But your infrastructure is extremely weak, because what happens is, a lot of you guys are on septic tanks. You all realize that? Septic tanks. So where your raw sewage, where is that going? It is septic tank, but if it overflows, that means you're not tied into the city. Does that make sense? And you gotta get tied in, because all this new development is coming through. And if the new development is coming through and your aging infrastructure is not settled, you're gonna have a major impact, and they're gonna pass those dollars on to Gwinnett, your residents. Does that make sense?
Taxes keep going up every year.
Right, and now, the best thing about Gwinnett is this: your gross national income is higher than the national income on the level, right? That means that you guys are making a lot more money than people on the national level. The national people are making right at, I think, 77,000. Gwinnett is at 79,000. That's the average income per person, right? Rockdale is right below you. That means that a lot of your young kids, your school systems are doing good. You could be doing a little bit better. Your school systems are still doing good. But that also means that a lot of your young people are going off to college. So they're going off to college, and you got a lot of STEM jobs, economic development that's here that will help you sustain. But the infrastructure is going to be key, and it may knock out a lot of people. Because who's that said that? The taxes, housing, insurance, and all of those things. They're passing those things down. That's why it's critical to vote for the right people, to make sure that they can get a lot of the funding in from DC to help you with the infrastructure that you're going to need. So these are some of the things that you're going to be facing, and a lot of people don't see the ball rolling. They don't see it coming through. You remember that big pipe that bust down that town, that man, and Andres had to call to get some money for that, right? Because he's like, we ain't got it in the budget. We ain't got it, dog. We just ain't got it. So we got to get some money. You got to cost. You got to call, right? You got to make a phone call. So what I'm saying, when that may be in the same situation pretty soon. They're talking about transportation. They're talking about a rail system. Y'all heard about the rail system they're trying to bring it up in that. But I think it's needed. What happens when you're able to move people, you make your development stronger. When you're talking about people being able to go from, but it can't just be down 85 corridor. It needs to tie into all of your cities. Right. Right. Y'all, we need to stop that foolishness. We need to stop acting like poor people don't help us. You got to have somebody working them dollar stores and family dollars.
Right.
We got to stop playing like it got to be a balance in life. You know, you remember, and I don't know if y'all remember this. I use this example a lot. When Peachtree City, right? When the pilots at Delta went under, they went on strike, right? And some of them lost jobs or whatever. You know, Peachtree Street was like a palace city. You know, everybody who flowed Delta and all that kind of stuff, they lived in. But what happened was they didn't have poor people in the city. You know, they wouldn't let a dollar store went there for years. I think you may have went there. But for years, it was just the rich people. And what happened is when Delta laid off or the palace went on strike, what happened was the economy plummeted. And Peachtree City went up. Because there was never a balance. Do you understand that? There was never a balance. So people, we need to get away from thinking that poor people cause crime.
You gotta have good everywhere.
Right. Come on, Gloria.
You
You
just
know
got
you
good.
are the Cleveland Avenue. So, but yeah, there's a hood everywhere, no matter where you are. The fact of the matter, we just gotta figure out how we're gonna all work together. And I'm gonna tell you, there's crime in every sector of our population. COVID should have taught us that. What happened is, especially domestic violence, let's talk about it real quick.
Yeah.
Domestic violence, when people were at home, didn't have jobs, couldn't pay their bills, didn't know how to what happened is, it went up, and it went up across the board, black, white, Indian, it did not matter.
Everybody find out they had mental health.
It did not matter. Right. People fighting, carrying out, cutting up, I mean, talking about pulling out knives, everything, guns on you. And the reason why that is, now think about this, now this is what happens. In black people community, if you're oppressed, fighting to pay the bills and everything, who do you turn to? Who do you turn on?
Yeah.
You understand that? And COVID taught us that it's not just a black people problem. What happened is they'll fight too, but we know that who gets the job and we know who makes the most money. Because that's some contractors come to my house and go, I don't want to make white people money. You gotta give me black folk prices. Don't even that. I don't want to make white people. And I'm not being racist, it's just being realities. When you look at like the especially black professionals, I have a law degree, but they say black women, even with the professional degrees, make less than their counterparts. It's just the truth of the matter. So we gotta be honest with ourselves. You know, a lot of people like to flex. I don't flex.
Right.
I got 2,800 Honda Accord. I be bending corners in my car. Paid for. Because what happens is, you know, I don't, you know, my thing is a lot of my funding, I'm gonna tell you how I really spend my life. I try to save as much as I possibly can. But when my residents, they call me, I see them as my mom and my dad. They're aging elderly. I'll never forget, I never met this lady in my life, but her husband's in a wheelchair. He had amputated legs, but he was on dialysis. The neighbors next door to her were complaining because her grass had grown so high. And code enforcement was gonna write us a ticket because her grass was so high. And they called me, the neighbors called me and says, what can you do? Well, what I did was I sent my grass cutting people over there to cut the grass and cashed out them the money. Now I'm telling you a story because I'm very proud of it. I never met the lady. If she walked up to me today and said thank you, I wouldn't even know what she said thank you for. Because I think that that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? One of my biggest things, I'm so proud. I got a little niece who just bought a house and she says, I need $500 for closing. I'm like, $500. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not gonna let your dream die because of $500. Yeah, I see that. You understand that?
Yeah.
So my thing is, I think we need as a community, we need to be a spoke in the wheel to help each other. But there's no stranger for black people, especially who graduate from college. A lot of us are not wealthy today because guess what? We reach back and help everybody who didn't. Because some of our family members sacrificed for us to go. And now we make the sacrifices for them to bail us out. So there's no stranger about that. And I'm very proud of the work that we do. Any other questions? I hope, let me tell you, I've enjoyed this. I know I talk a lot. But I love
You
my
said you
people.
wanna get your house paid off, and I just wanna add to you, because I paid up my house, but see, a lot of people don't know that 10 years ago, Medicaid paid up things so that they can come after you, they took care of whoever's in that house. If that house is not out that person's name 5 years before Medicaid had to spend $1 toward their care, Medicaid to put a lien on your house. Yeah. Five years before they have to pay $1 toward that person's care.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, so it's a Monty house, so now I got the house, the deed in my name, but the deed wasn't in my name before her care. So they saying I owed $159,000, but I got all my paperwork together and everything, and I'm very thorough.
Yes.
So then it came down to $55,000. Hold on, baby, you got a mortgage, okay, huh? So take this, and now they took that. So then I talked about, okay, so now let me give $9,000 here for my niece, so let me go and pay off this mortgage and everything and stuff. So now you're gonna come at me like this, but now then I'm paying them $100 a month. See, cause as long as you pay them something, they can't take it. Understand that now? They can't take it. They ain't gonna take it. Okay, but pay them something. So I paid them $100 a month for 32 months, but now you tell me $100 a month and enough. Okay, so I tell you what then, let me just see this contract I took my niece when I bought them $9,000, let you just look that from the rest. So now you go and do that, so then that made me down to 14,000. So then I told you, I said, okay, look, I'm gonna get another job. I tell you what I do. If you keep work with me, come August, I give you $500 a month. Then after I pay her $9,000 back, I don't borrow her, then I'll start paying you $1,000 a month. So then next year the house will be paid for, and you can get that. I mean, the lien will be paid, and you can take it off my house.
That's awesome. These kind of meetings are so, where did he go? Productive. Oh, okay. Listen. Okay, now, listen. USDA. I want y'all to know this. USDA gives loans, mortgages for housing. How do you care? You don't know a house. I want you to buy a house. Anyway, so listen. Yes. USDA. Now listen. USDA, I know people say they cover farmlands. But certain areas, even though they're urban now, was considered farmland and the region has not changed. And they give you great interest rates on those lands. So look at buying a house and look at going through your USDA to help you. So they have funding, especially for minorities and poor people. They have funding to help you with those. All right, so I'm done. Any other questions? It's good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I just got one.
Wait. We got one. What's your name?
My name is Shaq.
Shaq. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too. I get a good vibe from you. But of course that's not across the board when it comes to people involved in politics. I really don't have a lot of faith in it. But one of the reasons why is because during my observation over the years, Biden said something when he was campaigning the last time. He did an interview with Hot 97 the Breakfast Club, and he told Charlemagne that he asked him who he was voting for, and he said, "I think that's personal, sir. You know, whoever I vote for is my own personal thing. I brought you up here for you to promote your campaign." He said, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black." And I'm not mad with Biden. Biden messed up by slipping out and telling a secret that he wasn't supposed to reveal. The Democratic Party has been taking advantage of black people for years. Years. He messed up by confirming it. See, that wasn't a personal thing Biden said. He told something that he knew that he wasn't supposed to reveal. How you gonna tell a man he's not black if he don't vote for a certain party? I understand where he was coming from personally, but that's not what you're supposed to say.
Well, he told the truth.
He told the truth.
He was coming from a place, okay, so now, so we go, because, see, okay, now, I'm gonna take, because I'll go all the way back down to the details, okay, so yes, because now, black Americans did used to be Republicans.
That's right.
They were Republicans, so start up to go back to the history. Okay, but then, okay, now, so you coming with the Jim Crow and everything, and all this old stuff and everything, okay, then the Klan and all that, so then you coming over to the Democrats. So this when they came over here, because that's where coming through the Lincoln and everything, fugitive slave law and all this stuff and everything, okay? So now you over here and you coming Republican, black and everything and stuff. But the reality of it is why I gotta dress it up for you to say that when I'm telling you the truth, because now, just wait a minute. Now, because Charlemagne the God was just on The View 3 weeks ago, okay? And then he broke it down for the fact of the matter is like you were saying. You got the two choices, but hey, which one you gonna pick? Because one thing about it, not vote for Biden is to vote for Trump. And that's something we do not need, this country as a whole, period. It don't matter if you're black, white, Latino, or whoever.
Now let's bring it to this point.
Okay.
Okay, so we only got, right? Now we established that the Democratic Party has been taking advantage of black people. We established that we only have two choices. How can we change that dynamic?
Okay, so she just still paying towards the point. The bottom line is, you start from the grassroots. We start inside the community. We start with the city. Start with the city politics, okay? Then the county politics, okay? Then the state, and then the governor. Then you go to the federal. Federal gonna be the fast, but where your trouble coming from, baby, is this small town stuff, this city stuff. The city council wanna ban this book, wanna take this out the library, and all this stuff. But then the next thing you read that book, Rapture.
No, I
You
know.
okay, but see, it's those little bitty things. See, when you get 5 or 6 little people go into a city and they get on the city council and they get all that and they get them voting this, that, and other. Next thing you know, they took over the city, they took over the county, they took over the state. And now they running the state. And hey, the governor play a big role, baby, when it come up to go moving up to the government. Okay, cause they're going from state to fed.
So Ken has a question.
Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
thank you, because I just
Good.
wanted to.
I love the dialogue.
Because I think that.
I think the dialogue is absolutely on
Yeah, I think
point.
that information was very important
Yeah.
to look at it as a whole.
So, Shaq, so you said, how can we change that? You have, children, grandchildren, boys, and goes back
No, I got
to.
girls, I got all girls.
Okay. And it goes back to y'all saying that y'all doing something for the men. It's a good way to have the young men get more into politics because, like how you said, basically, like, I don't care about none of this. Like, he even said, I don't want to know them people. I don't want to know the sheriff. And that's how the young people are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're not involved, and we need them to be
Oh
involved.
my God, do you know that black men are most impacted by the vote more than any other sector in this world? And let me tell you why, because, let's say this, y'all are well educated, well trained, and y'all got real good jobs. I can tell you, look how nice you dressed and everything, y'all look real good. So, get divorced and have kids. Do you know black men pay more in child support than any other sector? That's impactful. Do you understand that? Y'all don't look like y'all ain't ready to go to jail yet. Young black men, they get more prison sentences. Their sentences are much larger than any other black man and Hispanic. Mainly black men. This is how you're impacted. Judges are elected. You understand that? And if they're not elected, they're appointed by an elected official. That's how critical the vote is. And they make impacts on your life all day. So, I mean, black men, you are the least likely to vote. But your life is impacted the most by the vote.
That's right. That's right.
And do you know, like, there's this app, Rumbles, I don't know, Rumbles. Okay, I'm not talking about the date. I'm not talking about the date now. Now, which one is the date now? Which one is it? Rumbles. No. Rumbles is a date. So Rumbles is an app, right? It's a podcast, right? So they hired DJ academics to attract young black males. And in between that, they start talking Republican rhetoric to entice young black men to come on board to make them Republicans to get them to vote, to give them a voice. But we all don't, they didn't realize we don't really like DJ academics. We think he a punk. Anyway, so anyway, I said it. I ain't cussing. But the deal is, do you understand what I'm saying though? So they're coming at us in all different ways.
They just did the goddamn Buckhead, the barber shop. He thought they were signing up supposed to be.
Oh yeah, he thought it was.
They had nothing to do with politics.
I was invited to that.
Okay,
Johnson,
yeah, they tricked him. He went
you
for
remember
it.
that?
I told him that
You
before.
said don't go to that.
And then he got a
He said,
call
"Don't you
from
go there."
Trump.
Yes.
And he said when the call from Trump came through, he was like, what the hell?
Right. And now guess what? His business is going down. People have been going to it.
That's right.
And let me say this.
Yeah.
As a child, I grew up going to his barber shop. It was in Shamley before they moved.
Yeah.
So I knew the owner personally.
He's a nice guy, but yeah, y'all read his article. I thought it was very good.
His
Yeah,
name's
this is
Rocky.
so cool. Yeah. All right, so I ain't gonna hold y'all. We gotta eat.
In closing, I just want to, first of all, thank you. I know for me, I'm one of those people that used to be on the fence. You know, you go down that rabbit hole, you see what's going on, you see all the corruption. But I would encourage everyone, what I've learned, for me, if you're physically able, if you have just a little bit of time to get out there, and I got out there with Karen. Anytime I get out there and I'm side by side somebody, you can see, they're walking this walk and talking to them, right? Then it becomes clear. It's not even about a party. It's not about any of that. It's about who's doing the work. And you get a chance to see if you're able to get out there and do it. And that's as simple as that. And when you see the truth, you know the truth. You don't have to question it. You just know it. But you gotta be active. You gotta be part of it. And this is a way that you guys can have linkage to be a part of some of these things that we talked about. When we had our first meeting, we discussed some of the social disparities. This was from our first meeting about 4 months ago. We talked about literacy. We talked about accountability. We talked about nutrition. We talked about the community and all these social disparities that we deal with. Political engagement is part of that, right? You can't do any of that without having that conversation. And so for me, and I'll tell you, I'm a day one person. It's okay. You don't know. When we was in the meeting, the meeting that we had at the house.
Yes.
And I looked around, I thought everybody in the campaign been doing it for years. And I found out that everybody first day, right? So sometimes you think that you're behind. You think that you don't know, you got a lot to catch up. But we all have life experience. And when you team that with what's going on, you educate yourself, it makes sense immediately. Because just teaming that life experience with just a little bit of knowledge of how it works, and boom, you know what's going on, right? So I just want to thank you again, Ms. Perry. Thank you.
I love these.
This is a token of our appreciation. And also a shirt. It says you're an official member of Cousin Kids.
Oh, we got my name on it. Oh, look at you. I like that. Thank you. Thank you.
So as promised,